What's going on, guys? My name is Sam, Stardust Nobody, the myth, the man, the legend, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5 Golden Wind anime review. In today's episode of JoJo, we saw a lot of interesting things. We see Giorno's backstory, and we see Part 2 of Bruno Bruciarati versus Giovanna. Now, without any further ado, I don't want to waste any time with this intro. I want to get into reviewing this episode, because I really want to talk about some things. But yes, without any further ado, let's get right into the review of Episode 2 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 5, Golden Wind. Obviously, before I can get into reviewing the episode itself, I have to address the elephant in the room, our new opening and ending. Let's start with the opening, Fighting Gold. When I first heard this opening, I wasn't a fan. I didn't like it, but I've listened to it now maybe 50, 60 times. Just on loop all day today to see if I can like it more, and I do. I like it a lot more than I did. Coda, obviously the guy who did the second opening of JoJo, Bloody Stream. Everyone loves Bloody Stream. Everyone was really excited for him to do another JoJo opening. I don't like this as much as Bloody Stream, and it's probably still my least favorite JoJo opening. But that's not saying much, because every JoJo opening, in my opinion, even Chase, is legendary. I think they're all very good openings. I like them all a lot. This just probably is my least favorite of the bunch, which isn't anything to diss this opening, because it is a really good opening. And in terms of visuals, it is probably my favorite opening. One of my favorite JoJo openings. It's like my favorite JoJo opening in terms of visuals, and one of my favorite anime openings of all time in terms of visuals. The visuals are absolutely gorgeous, and from what I've heard from my friends who read the manga, there's a lot of foreshadowing and spoilerific things in here, which I like foreshadowing in openings. I can appreciate that. But yeah, as a song, really good song. Amazing visuals, and although I would have liked something a little bit different, this suits Part 5 and just suits JoJo in general. I give this opening an 8 out of 10. Then we have our ending, Freaking You by, I'm going to admit, I've never heard of this artist before, Jodeki. I'm really wrong. I know I probably sound extremely stupid to any die-hard fans of him, if there are them. I don't even know. I've never heard of him in my life. Please just destroy me in the comments. I'm bad with this. As for the song, it's alright. I don't really judge the JoJo endings, because they're not songs made for JoJo. They're just iconic songs, and this had to have been somewhat iconic for it to become a JoJo ending, I guess. I would have liked Gangsta's Paradise. I think everyone did. Gangsta's Paradise would have been amazing. Or even Gold by Spandau Ballet. I got told by a friend, well, I didn't get told, but I looked it up online, and I didn't realize that someone had already made like a fake version of the ending, and it had Gold by Spandau Ballet over it, and I went as like, oh my god, and then I messaged all my friends, and then we were watching the episode live, and it came up with this song, and we're like, the hell? Oh god, we got baited. We got baited like, ooh. Yeah. Well, there's not much to really say about the ending. The ending's fine, it's nice. It's funny, the whole thing about how he's horny. I know that's funny. That was funny as hell in the call that I was in with my friends watching the episode, where it's just like, I'm horny in the morning, and it's like, what? What? But yeah, good ending. You can't really judge it. It's probably my least favorite JoJo ending, but there are such amazing hits like Yes and I Want You, so can't really argue with those. But yeah, this is a decent ending. Now to actually cover the episode itself, and the episode started off really strong in my opinion. Getting to learn a lot about Giorno's backstory, learning about his relationship with his father Dio, learning about his mother, learning about his childhood, and learning about how he's become who he is, especially meeting the Gangstar and having that cool backstory. Yeah, it was really good. It did exactly what it needed to. It covered exactly what it needed to, and it did it in a respectful manner. It didn't disrespect Giorno. It didn't make it some really out-of-this-world stupid backstory. No, it was very genuine, very real, and somewhat relatable for me, because I'm someone that has been, not bullied, but I've been someone that's never been the most popular person in the world, and that is kind of because I'm like Giorno, I'm an analyst. But I don't want to get into details about my personal life here. We can do that another day. But I really relate with Giorno now, and I really liked the whole thing about the gangster and about how about how Giorno saved his life, and then he owed Giorno. He was really cool. I hope we see more of him. I don't know if we do, as I've said. I don't read the manga, so I do hope we get to see more of that gangster, because... forgive me if I'm forgetting his name or something. I just want to call him the gangster, because that's who inspired Giorno, and he has a very big part. I also definitely we got to see his mother, and we got to see... I'm really happy with how the episode opened up. It did exactly what needed to in a respectful manner, and didn't take too long, and wasn't too short, but it was done really well. We saw exactly what we needed to see. 10 out of 10 backstory. We then experience one of the most beautiful transitions of all time. We go from dark, scary, gloomy backstory to just lickety-lick. And we flash to the future, and we see Giorno versus Bruno again. Which I really like this fight. It was done really well, as I'm really liking the part 5 so far. It's not like other parts where some fights just take way too long. They just take way too long for no reason to make me want to actually die. From what I'm liking so far, everything in part 5. I've only seen 2 episodes, but from what I've seen, the fights and the backstory and the moments, they are impactful enough and they're long enough to be impactful, but they're not too long. They don't take 5 episodes or something like some other fights in the series, which really I hate. I genuinely despise those episodes. I'm looking at you, part 3. A lot of the fights in the beginning of part 3 at least, before we arrived in Egypt, are some of my least favorite episodes of the entire franchise, and I actually hated them. So I'm really glad that part 5 is seeming to be different than that, because I don't want to sit around watching the same fight for the entirety of 2-3 episodes. That's boring. We see more of Giorno's stand, we see more of Gold Experience, and I'm liking it a lot more now. After seeing a bit more animated, it looks a little less creepy to me. And we get to see his ability that if he uses Gold Experience on already living things, it sends their senses berserk. And we got to have that cool scene with Bruno where he thought he was being powered up by Giorno, but it turned out it's just his senses were berserk, and he was high. He was virtually high as high can be high. It was, I don't know much to say. It's a fight scene. It was done really well. The animation was really good, and I liked the back and forth of Bruno's Sticky Fingers stand, which I'm really liking. Sticky Fingers. Sticky Fingers is going to be one of my very favorite stands in all of Part 5. And I like Gold Experience. I like that it was a constant clash back and forth between the two. We then get to see Bruno get out of the car, get out of the train cart, and then Giorno follows him, and we get to see that Bruno, Sticky Fingers, can also open up any object. It doesn't have to be a human, it doesn't have to put things in someone's mouth. And then we see Giorno chase him through the town and find the child, and then Bruno goes inside the child, which is pretty gay, but he goes inside the child, and after the scene goes where Giorno has mercy on Bruno because he could tell that Bruno agreed with some of his motives. He agreed with the fact that drugs should not be sold to children, which I like that. I like that quite a bit, actually. I like that we're not selling kids drugs, because that is a very, 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 very good feeling. Virtually, Giorno and Bruno, they discuss their motives, they have more of a fight, they go back and forth. They discuss that Giorno's goal in all of this is to rise to the top. Sounds a bit like Suzaku Kurodugi from Code Geass, but hopefully it doesn't end like Suzaku, because I'm not a huge fan of Suzaku. But we see Giorno, we hear more about his motives, and yeah, it was really well done. I really liked this episode. We got to see a good part of Giorno's past. We got to see quite a bit of Bruno and Giorno stands going at it. We get to see a back and forth between the two characters, which I really enjoyed. And we got to have an insight into Giorno and Bruno's motives and their mindsets and way of living, which I always like when that's something that's covered very early in the show, so I can fully understand what these characters are going through instead of being some random thing that they introduce like 5 episodes down or even 10 episodes down like some anime do. Because this is going to be a 39 episode series, it's not like 100 or anything, so I'm glad if we're getting our character motives and everything on the canvas, everything out in the open as soon as possible. I don't want part 5 to become some laggy part that just takes episode after episode to achieve nothing. Which I'm really liking the first 2 episodes, which is probably why they're like my two favorite first episodes of any JoJo, is that they get to the point. They don't sit here wasting your time. They don't sit here telling you things a million times over, but they show enough of the same thing. They show enough of Giorno's motives, and they show enough of Bruno's motives, and enough of them as characters, where you're able to tell that, yes, this is their character trait, but they don't overdo those character traits, where another anime, I'm not gonna name it, but there's an anime that people know, that I believe that is a very big issue, that a character should be more than what their signature character trait is. There needs to be a character trait, obviously, but it needs to be more than that. It cannot just be a character who is totally based on his traits, which I'm really liking that part 5 is somewhat abandoning what other JoJo parts have done, where one character has a gimmick, and that gimmick is like everything about them, and it shows only that gimmick. I'm liking that part 5 seems to have its characters, especially its protagonists, be very, very differently layered. Obviously, we've had Jonathan, who was a purely noble person. We have Joseph, who was the funny guy. We have Jojo, who's the stern, cold guy, but later on in part 6, I've heard that he gets a bit mellower, and we get to see more of his happy side. And then we have Josuke, which I really like Josuke, because Josuke is like Giorno, has a lot of duality to him, and they perfectly show the different sides of their characters. I'm really hoping that Giorno is very much like Josuke, but not to the point where I like that Josuke is the happy one. I hope Giorno more focuses on the dark side and the dark things in life. I don't want him to become a super eccentric, super happy person, because that's quite clearly not how he was raised, that's quite clearly not who he is as a person, and that's quite clearly not what this world, this town that part 5 is set in, wants people to do. It's about gangsters and mobs and things, so we don't want our main protagonist to be a happy-go-lucky guy. But we don't want him to be purely evil either, which I'm really liking. Bruno seems like that, Giorno definitely seems like that, where he seems that even though he had a dark past where everyone treated him like hell, he still wants to do good in this world. But he's not going to become some super eccentric, smiling all the time person to just make that seem like, oh, everything's okay in the world. No, everything's not okay. And he understands that, and he likes focusing on the good things in life, but from what we've seen. He likes focusing on the good things, but he doesn't deny that there are bad things, and he wants to change those bad things, which I can really approve of. I have a lot to say. This is more than I normally say. I normally do little recordings, like 2-minute recordings, and edit them up. But this is the first time I've spoken for like 7 minutes straight, because I really, really liked this episode. It did, like, the opening, the ending, they were good. They did what they needed to. The beginning was really good with the backstory. And the fight scene, and especially the end of the fight scene, where Giorno and Bruno discuss their motives, and discuss that Giorno wants to become the greatest Gangstar, it shows a perfect duality. It shows a duality of Giorno and Bruno are both people that if they need to, they can take names, they can kick ass, they can show not much mercy. But when it comes to someone that they can respect and look eye to eye with, they can put aside what they're being ordered to do, in the case of Bruno, where you can put aside being ordered to kill or exterminate or get rid of Giorno, or the person who killed Leaky Eye Luca. He can put that aside to have a discussion with Giorno and not kill him, because they both recognize each other, and they both recognize that their motives and ways of thinking are incredibly similar. And I really like that in characters, and I'm really liking that part 5 seems to really be focusing on that, and I hope that it continues with this. I really hope it doesn't start like this and then go slowly downhill. I've only ever heard good things. Actually, no, I've heard bad things about part 5, but I've heard a lot of good things too. So I do hope that there's a common trait, that they don't have people be completely defined by their backstory, by their past, or by that one signature trait, but have multiple layers and be able to show multiple different sides to multiple different people. Here we are at the end of another review. If you guys enjoyed this review, make sure to click like, subscribe, favorite, share with your friends, comment down below, do all the cool jazz, because 300 views may mean not that much, but that's not a lot to me, but that is something I can really recognize, and I do hope that you guys continue to enjoy my reviews, and hope that my rambling on some things doesn't deter you from watching the content. But yes, if you guys enjoy, do all that cool stuff. And as always, guys, make sure to remember to stand proud, as always. Have an amazing day, my friends. Stardust Nobody, the myth, the man, the legend, signing